I begin in the name of the God whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. After having presented the arguments that support the Quranic claim that there is going to be life hereafter, I raised a few questions that still remain in the minds of many people when the question of the life hereafter is raised. I have already discussed the first of those 6 questions. The question was, is it true that according to the Quran, non-Muslims are not going to enter the paradise? Today, I will take up 3 more questions. Why doesn't the description of the life hereafter mentioned in the Quran appeal to many people? Why is the punishment in the life hereafter going to be so very long? And why has Satan been allowed to take us away from the right path? Why has he been unleashed upon us? So let's take the first question first. Why is it that when the Quran describes the blessings, the rewards of the paradise, it seems that many people belonging to the modern world in particular, don't seem to be impressed by the description of long shadows or flowing rivers, etc. What's the reality of the description of the paradise and some of the other facts described by the Quran that belong to the domain of the unseen world? We have a verse in the Quran, verse 7 of chapter 3, which says, "It is He who has revealed the book to you." Some of its verses are decisive, they are the basis of the book, and others are allegorical. Those in whose hearts is perversity follow the part of it which is allegorical, seeking to mislead, to know its reality, and none knows its reality except God. And those firmly rooted in knowledge, they say, we believe in it, it is all from our Lord. The verse is telling us that some Quranic verses are allegorical, mutashabihat. And it tells us that these verses are the ones whose reality nobody knows except God. And the verse also tells us that those whose hearts are twisted, who have perversity in their hearts, they are the ones who are eager to know what the reality of these verses is. And God says that those who have the right approach, they say, we believe that all these verses are from God, but we are not interested in knowing about the reality of the allegorical verses. Now, what is this description clarifying? You see, in our worldly languages, we have words, nouns, describing different objects, different realities. Why? Because language seeks to communicate. In order for us to communicate with each other, we use different languages, and in our languages, we have words, nouns, describing different objects that we can see, that we can perceive, so that we are able to talk to each other about them. The life hereafter, the paradise and the hell, are the realities that we have not seen. Nobody has seen them. So how can we talk about them? How can we use expressions, words, nouns for them? The Almighty has described them in allegorical expressions. That is, He has used the closest possible alternatives to what the reality is going to be able to let people know what that world is going to look like. The description is in Arabic, and the first addressees of the Quran were the Arab Bedouins of 1400 plus years ago. So the Almighty has described the paradise, for example, taking into account the imagination of the Arabs of the time when the Quran was being revealed, to let them know how the paradise is going to look like. It is not the exact description of the paradise. The words used for the rewards of the next life and the punishments are not in literal language, it's allegorical description, and therefore there is no need for the reader of the Quran to try to figure out the reality of what has been described. So it's not surprising that a person who is living in the modern times is not particularly impressed by the description of the paradise, because that description is not meant for him when it comes to the details of the paradise. However, there are certain other things that have been mentioned of the paradise that would appeal to all humans. The Quran says that those who will get the privilege of entering the paradise shall have therein whatever they would ask for, whatever they would desire. The Almighty says that in the next life, no one is going to ask for in the paradise to be removed from there. He says that the paradise is a place where there are going to be no fears and apprehensions of the future, nor any sorrows and griefs of the past. The Almighty promises that in the next life, if an individual's family members will also qualify for the paradise, they will all get the privilege of coming together to live forever. The Quran tells us that in the paradise, people living therein will be fully satisfied with God and what He has provided them with, and God is going to be fully satisfied and pleased with them. So that's the description of the paradise, which is meant for all humans. It has universal appeal. As far as the details of the blessings are concerned, they have been described and couched in allegorical expressions and not described literally. The next question is, why is the punishment of the next life so long? The trouble that causes this question to be raised is that while this life is very brief, the next life is promised to be very long, in fact, eternal. So how can it be fair that on the one hand, a man commits evil, okay, for 50, 60, 100 years. On the other hand, he is being warned of being punished for a very, very long time, for the eternity. The answer to this question is twofold. One, the principle that has prompted this question to be raised seems to be that if somebody is to be punished fairly, he should be punished only for the duration that he committed crime. So if he committed crime for a period of 6 months, he should be punished for a period of 6 months. If the crime was committed for 2 years, then the punishment should not be any more than 2 years. The fact of the matter is that this principle has no basis. Nobody accepts it. Even in the modern times, when in many societies, capital punishment is not allowed, is not accepted. The fact is that a person who murders, takes the life of another person, is punished to remain confined to the prison for years, for decades, even though the crime of murder is committed in a matter of a few seconds. So why is it that it's considered to be reasonable that a person who commits a crime of murder only in a matter of seconds is asked to endure a long period of confinement to the prison because of the fact that the principle is not that one should be punished for as long a period as one has used to commit a crime. The principle is that the punishment should be commensurate with the crime. If the crime is serious, the punishment should be as serious, as severe. So, if a person takes the life of another person, and there are people who are not interested in taking the life of the murderer, they would force the individual to be confined to the four walls of the prison and take away from him his liberty for a while. Now, because staying in a prison is not as big a punishment as a murder, the difference is taken care of by prolonging the stay in the prison. So, in other words, principle of justice is that a person who has committed a crime should be punished as much as his crime deserves. Therefore, if a person has been given to live a life spread over 50, 60, 70 years, and he has been consistently committing crimes, rejecting God, his blessings are ignored, doesn't bother to thank Him, and is persistently following the wrong path, despite the fact that he knows that what he's doing is wrong. How huge a crime is this life that this person is leading? We cannot be sure about it. It is only God, the Creator, who can decide justly and fairly about such people, and it is only He who can come to the right conclusions. The second aspect of the problem is that, okay, even if it is conceded for the sake of argument that evil committed for a shorter period can be punished over a longer period, the punishment that would last forever is something that is not possible to be accepted, to be considered as fair. So, how can it be justified? The answer is that the fact of the matter is that when the Quran describes the punishment of the next life and says that it's going to be eternal, what the Quran is mentioning is not eternity in the sense that we normally think of it. The relevant verse that deals with the subject is, it says, "For them there will be in it sighing and groaning, abiding in it as long as the heavens and the earth last, except as your Lord pleases." That is, this punishment is going to be for a very long time, as long as the heavens and the earth last. How long are they going to last? We don't know. But most certainly, it's giving a clear hint that it's not going to be for the eternity. It is going to be for a very long period of time, and only God knows how long it's going to be. It says, except as your Lord pleases. This is in chapter 11, Surah Hud. What it actually means is that when God says that I am going to punish certain people forever, this particular description suggests that what it means is that the Almighty is saying that I am going to punish this person forever, that is, for as long as my plan of punishment in the hereafter would last. The last question in this particular presentation is the question regarding Satan and the manner he has been allowed to influence us, for us to be allured towards, enticed towards the evil. The Quran tells us in chapter 14, verse 22, that the permission granted to Satan does not mean that Satan has complete control over us. The verse says, "And Satan would say, when the matter will be decided, indeed God promised you a true promise, and I promised you too. Then I failed you. And I had no authority over you except that I called you and you obeyed me. So do not blame me, but blame yourself." That is, Satan would clarify that I did not have a decisive influence over you. All that I could do was to entice you, attract you towards the evil path. I suggested to you that you should do evil, and you responded positively. It was your own decision. I was not given complete authority over you. And obviously, there were many other humans who were likewise enticed by Satan to go the evil way, but they did not oblige. So, it would be wrong to blame Satan for the evil ways that some people adopt. When they adopt evil ways, they do it on their own, and nobody is to be blamed for their evil actions except they themselves.